Hello, my lovelies. I'm your host, Serenity, and today, on QUORA, we are taking a look at what is something that you swear happened, but you have no proof, and nobody believes you. Jennifer Gonzalez, creator of Life and Knowledge, answered, I'm attaching a few actual pics, even though it still proves nothing. This is the one and only thing that I will never, ever in my life be able to explain completely. I don't know why, I don't know how, but it happened, and to this day it freaks me the F out. So, about 2 years ago, I got called to work on a vacant house. I was asked to paint the entire interior of the house and rebuild the fence. I had a friend come help me, and the first day on the job, I noticed that whoever lived there prior had measured all of their kids and grandkids in the entryway to the kitchen. You know what I'm talking about, like height and all that, with a pen or pencil, that type of thing. And after each marking, there was a name and a date. For some reason, it made me sad, and I refused to paint over it. This dated all the way back to 1909. It was just the entryway, no big deal I suppose, but it was somebody's memories that I felt that I should not disturb. Anyway, my friend got super sick and had to back out of the job 2 days in. I could not find one person on the planet to actually show up to effing work to help me. Everybody flicked out, never showed up, etc. So, I was stuck doing this alone. I had never done an entire house alone, but I figured, F it, I can do this. Then, my truck broke down. I got stuck staying at this house. It was October. It was snowing. I was not getting paid until the job was done, and not one freaking person that I knew would come help me. So, here I was, sitting in the hallway of this vacant house one morning, by myself, trying to open a bottle of apple juice, but my hands were so cramped from so much painting that I couldn't unscrew it, and I just started crying. I don't care. I was just so freaking frustrated with everything, and I just slumped down against the wall and said out loud, verbatim, seriously, what the F? Can somebody please just give me a effing break? I mean, literally, I was sobbing. I just broke down. And I shit you not, here's where it gets crazy. I was in this hall where the bathroom was right next to me. It had like a 3-panel mirror type thing, and the middle part was sticking open. I had been in this house for 3 days, entirely alone, after my friend got sick, and it bothered me that the middle mirror was opened. I got up and looked inside, and there was this bottle. I put some on a rag. I have no idea why to this day, and I rubbed it on the wall. I can't explain why I did this, but some of it got on my hands, and instantly my hands were no longer cramped. I felt this warmth go through my hands, up my arms, and all of my strength came back. I'm sure at this point anybody reading this is thinking, right, but I don't care. It gets better. Later that day, the guy I work for called me to let me know that a potential buyer was coming to look at the place. So, as I was going from room to make sure that everything was perfect, I realized that a room that I had been working in, that I liked the least, still had tape on the closet rails. So, I go in to take any tape off that I might have missed, and out of effing nowhere, there's a decent amount of money fanned out inside the closet. This freaks me out even remembering it. I cannot make this shit up. It was old money, it was dusty, and I don't care what anybody on this planet says, it was never there before. Remember, I was there by myself for days. I was in every single room of that freaking house every single day. I'm pretty sure I would have noticed a pile of money, right? Listen, I know this sounds completely ridiculous, and I know that I've said several times that I don't care if anybody believes me, but seriously, it was the exact amount of money that I needed to get out of debt at that point. I'm talking effing exactly. Nobody in the entire world would have known what my debt was. Nobody. It was all 20s and 50s. Here's the thing. I found out that the house was vacant because the lady that lived there passed away in that room. She didn't want to die in hospice, so she spent her final days in her home. I never liked that room, which is why I said the room I liked the least, because there was a chandelier in there, and every day a bulb would burn out, and the door would slam shut. It was weird. I avoided it, but I had to paint every room, so whatever. I was in that room, every single day. The day I left, only one bulb was working in that chandelier. Fast forward a year later. So, I get a call from the guy I work for, and he tells me that the people that moved in abruptly left. No notice, no nothing. They took off and didn't even ask for their deposit back. It ended up being a rental. The reason for his call was that he wanted me to go back and make sure that nothing needed repaired, and if it did, to please fix it. I didn't want to go back. I just didn't want to. Every one of my friends knew the story. Nobody wanted to go with me. Nobody wants to believe what cannot be explained. But I went, and I brought a different friend with me that night. It was pouring rain, with lightning so freaking bright I could feel it. This friend also got sick while we were driving there, to the point that he had to pull over so I could drive. We get there, and his huge black lab dog would not go in. He literally put his head down and shimmied on his stomach back to the truck, whimpering. I walked inside, and the only effing light in that entire house that worked was that same damn bulb that was left shining in that chandelier in that room the year before. Honestly, this is something that I could never, in a gazillion years, make up. Nobody will ever understand. Hell, I myself don't understand. But it truly happened, and it's just one of those things that you look back and think, WTF? Christine Wesley Sheridan answered, "It was my senior year of high school, 1986. One person believed me." A little backstory. There was this guy in my biology class during my junior year named Scott. He was your typical high school student who hated school. He slept in class when he could, whined and moaned when we had pop quizzes or he got a bad grade, but he was absolutely hilarious. The teacher was sweet, but could be kind of annoying. The more I look back, we were the annoying ones. She had a funny last name. She had a thing for baboons. She loved them, and would get out of this world hysterically happy when we got a chance to discuss primates at all, but especially baboons. One day, Scott was being extra Scott-like and getting on her nerves, and she snapped at him to be quiet. He sat directly behind me, so only I could hear what he was saying, and he said, "I wonder if her bum turns red when she's excited, like a baboon." I lost it and burst out laughing. We both got yelled at, but I refused to tell her what we were laughing at and got sent to the office. Scott was annoying but tolerable. He started to grow on me, sort of like an annoying little brother that you once couldn't stand, but to whose jokes you started looking forward. He got a job at the grocery store up the street from my house in the produce department. He and his best friend, Paul, worked together. They would throw grapes at me every time they saw me. Scott would say, "Oh, great, it's Chris," with a groan and a moan. It was getting apparent that Scott was developing a crush on me. He was younger than I was, and I had a boyfriend, so I pretended that I didn't notice. The summer before my senior year was in full gear. Lots of parties, going to the beach, hanging out with friends, high school kid stuff. It also entailed a lot of going to the grocery store for my mom. I noticed that I hadn't seen Scott for half of the summer. I didn't see Paul much either, but when I did, he looked angry and depressed. Since I didn't see Scott, I assumed he had quit or gotten fired. About 4 to 5 weeks before the first day of my senior year, my mom and I were in the grocery store in the checkout line. Paul and his dad came into the store. His dad looked upset, and Paul was crying. I figured it was family argument stuff, and that Paul was just going in on his day off to pick up his check. The first day of my senior year, I was at my locker on the way to my third period class when, lo and behold, Scott walks up to me and asks me how it felt to be a senior. He was Scott, groaning about being stuck for 2 more years. He asked me if I had seen Miss K, baboon bum. I said that I had not, and told him that I hope his last 2 years at school went fast. He looked at me and looked really sad and said, "Goodbye, Chris. Have a good day." I meant to ask him where he was all summer and why I hadn't seen him in Randall's, the grocery store. I meant to ask him about his summer, but the whole exchange happened so fast that I forgot. As I was headed to my last class of the day, once again at my locker, this girl, Kim, who had been in our biology class the year before, came up to me and said, "Did you hear about Scott?" "No. What did the little tad do this time? Get suspended on the first day of school?" "No, Chris. He was killed in a motorcycle accident over the summer. He wasn't wearing a helmet and was in a coma for a while, and his family took him off of life support. He died in June." "No way. I just talked to him this morning. I talked to him. I swear that I saw and talked to him." I ran to Miss K's class and asked her if it was true, and she had tears rolling down her face and said that, unfortunately, it was true. I found my friends who were with me when Scott and I were talking and said, "You all saw me talking to Scott this morning, right?" "Well, we heard you talking to someone, but we didn't see Scott. We were wondering about that." "Why?" When I told them why, they got really quiet and didn't know what to say other than offering me condolences and changed the subject really quickly. The only one who believed me was Miss K. I told her that I saw and spoke to Scott and that he looked sad and said goodbye to me. She told me that the year before, he finally broke down and told her that he had made the comment about wondering if her bum turned red when she was excited. We both laughed pretty hard. I told her that my friends didn't believe that I had seen Scott. She told me that she did. She told me that she had something weird happen all day in her class. She had something on her desk that kept falling off, or ending up in her chair or on the floor. No matter where she put it, it ended up moving, even when there was nobody in the classroom. It was a figurine of a baboon that she had gotten while on a trip to Africa that summer. That is all for today's video. I will see you in the next one. Have a good day or a good night.